Blog Talk Radio. Today is Sunday, January 1st, New Year's Day 2023. And this is Foxology. I am Silver Ray Fox, your host. Happy New Year. And I really mean it with every fiber in my being. I pray it is just a happy and amazing year for you moving forward. Well, this is a Master Your Mindset New Year's Day special edition, and I do mean special, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. I'm so glad to be coming to you on this day. For some folks, New Year's Day means absolutely nothing, just another day. For others, it is special, it's important, it's significant. So what about you? What do you think? Is it just another day? Is it just another day? Ask yourself. That's what I want you to do. Or is it a day that you determine represents an opportunity to set your mind on future things, potential, possibilities, productivity, all of that? Well, listen, here's my thought theory. No day is really just another day. Each day we can make up our minds to have more vision, more views about life, more victories, more mental scenery, more imagination about what's ahead. Yes, to all of that. Life is full of promise for everybody, inclusive of you and exclusively for you. I'm going to say that again because I want you to leave today with that takeaway. Life is full of promise for everybody, inclusive of you. Yes, you, and exclusively for you. There is no shortage of things that can help you fulfill your dreams. There is not. There is no lack of pathways and pursuits to you reaching your goals. No one has bought out all the possibilities for you to do what you want to do in life. Life's promises are wide open, available, filled with chance after chance after chance for promise after promise after promise. Yes, indeed. I know life has another side, too. Some doors may get closed, and some of your efforts very well may fail, too. Some directions may change. Some curveballs may get thrown at you. And you may suffer some TKOs. I know you get my point, but the promise for new starts, new beginnings, new chances, and new opportunities do not, let me say that again, they do not run out. Now take that away today, okay? They don't run out. Well, today I am in great company. I told you it was something special. My sister, my friend, is joining me on the phone today with, oh, boy, she's going to share her mastermind expertise with us on this subject. You've heard her here before. She is the amazing and awesome Cassandra McShepard, co-host and correspondent of Milwaukee Tonight in Milwaukee on WTMJ Fox 4. That airs 6:30 weekdays if you want to check that out. But I am so happy to have her, and I'll tell you all why. 10 years ago today, she was the first guest on Foxology. So we are back again today. And I just want to remind you all, this day is my finale. I'll be wrapping up, and what a wonderful way to do it with my sister and my good friend. Welcome, Cassandra.
Thank you so much, Silver. It is such a pleasure to be here. And I was chuckling to myself, excuse me, as you called for my name, because you're in good form. My mom used to always say, you leave a room through the same door you entered. So I guess we're doing that.
Yes, indeed. I feel so delighted about it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to my next, but this is certainly a great day and a great way to wrap up my tenure time here on Foxology. So we're going to talk about life's promises today. You kind of heard the direction that we're going. I've written down a few principles for us to talk about, some of which I covered in my intro, but I've got what I'm calling 5 you gotters. five you gotters. And that's first you gotta, people. Listen, you want more out of life, you want to go after it, go get it. One of the first things you are going to have to do, and you didn't hear it here first, you just hearing it again today, but you got to trash your stinking thinking. And I mean for real, though. You got to trash it. And I'm just going to give you a little example about how you want to do it, because I know when you hear these things from motivational speakers and thought gurus and all of that, you're like, that sounds so easy. And I know it's not always, but I had a neighbor that I had befriended, and she was really trying to get over some tough things that had gone on in her life that had helped to shape a poor pattern of thinking for her. And so one day what we did is we sat down and she wrote down an entire list of the things that were troubling her so badly, everything she could think of that she knew was impacting her moving forward. And these things were literally keeping her from moving forward in life toward the better things, the greater things. She's a beautiful young woman with all kinds of potential, but she just couldn't see it. She couldn't shake the thought. But she wrote down with my support, all the things that she knew were channeling her in the wrong direction. And then she put it in a little old garbage bag, and guess what we did? We went out to the dumpster with it. So when I say trash that stinking thinking, I mean do that in every form of fashion, whatever it takes. If that's kind of symbolic, but it literally worked for her. I watched her just throw that over into the dumpster, and she kind of did that thing with her hands like, yes, indeed, I did that. That's over with. And on my last report, she truly was moving forward in life. She got herself enrolled into a college program and got a wonderful job, too, and a new car. I mean, it was just phenomenal how that flipped the script. So, number one suggestion that you got to do is trash your stinking thinking. That's it's essential. Cassandra, I know you got some great things to share on that topic.
Yes, Silver, I do. It's interesting because as I was listening to you talk, a couple of questions came to mind. First, if you don't mind me just kind of taking one slight back step about what life promises. And when it comes to how we think and the willingness, hopefully, to change our mindsets or to trash our thinking, what does life promise? What is the promise of life? Because I think a lot of times people feel like, it promises, what is the saying, death and taxes. It promises drama and so on and so forth. And the sad thing about that thinking is, yes, you're absolutely right, but life promises me different things. I mean, the taxes are paid, of course, and death is going to happen. But in between time, in the meantime, every day I open my eyes and can move my body and can think. It promises limitless, endless possibilities and opportunities. And that is, as you just said, Silver, is a fact. Even if you are physically incapacitated and you can still think, promises opportunities. If you can move your body and your mind, oh, my God, think about the things that can stop you. What's stopping you other than your thinking? And the thoughts that we have in our mind, are they really true? So oftentimes, unfortunately, we do hold on. We cling so tightly to our stories as if they are important. But if that story has you on the back end of success, If that story has you the low man on the totem pole, trash that stuff. As Silver said, put it in a trash bag and take it out or burn it. And I think that the writing it down is important also because oftentimes for many of us, there's so much stuff going on in the head that it's difficult to pinpoint. But as I'm sure you have continued to talk about, and as you and I have talked about, change is grown folks' business. Change happens as we keep on waking up, but change in a specific, intentional direction, that's grown folks' business. Because we got to take a look at ourselves. We've got to be willing to check ourselves, sit still with ourselves, to listen to the repetitive thoughts in our head and to write them down, and write them down so you can see them. Is this really true? Do I really believe this, or is this some leftover, warmed-up fear or tradition or belief of mama or grandmamas or the neighbors next door or the repetitive messages that we get from the commercials on the TV? Where did this thought come from? Is this mine? And even if it is, question it. Does it work for me is the next question. How has this benefited me? By being afraid to leave my house, by being afraid of people, how has that benefited me? It's made my life very small. What if people are not out to get me? What if there's nothing wrong in the street? Sure, the headlines say, but what if you don't listen to them?
That's true.
Be willing
That's very true.
Change your mind. Yeah,
absolutely. And what I would like to add to that, and please reflect on this too, Cassandra, what you just mentioned were some serious areas of self-sabotage, just very serious. And I think probably everybody that listens to this will be able to relate that at some point you were doing that to yourself, that, closing your own doors, cutting your own self off at the pass, because we allow ourselves to make excuses. And oftentimes the excuse may carry some validity, but it doesn't have to carry the entire weight. And we have to take some time to look at that because we don't want those excuses to truly end up as unbelief. Because as I said earlier, there is no such thing as running out of opportunities or chances to do something. There may be certain things that may seemingly limit the course of action, but there are ways to keep digging and delving into a situation to help you get what you really want. When I look at what most people, I believe, want, they want a happy life, they want a successful business or job, a great family, a home perhaps, a nice place to live. It doesn't necessarily have to be ownership. When I really just look at that to me is not hard accomplishments. Those are just things that you and we talked about this earlier today. Those are things that just take intelligent moves to get toward or to make happen in your life. I mean, if you have if you understand what it takes to buy a home and you prepare in your life to do that, or to have a great job and you prepare to do that, or to have a wonderful business and you prepare to do that, it is not as elusive as people think to get to that. It takes some work, but it's not something that's out of reach or grasp. But we will often tell ourselves that it is for some reason. And it may just be underlying things in what we have experienced in life before, or people around us who we just never saw get themselves, off the ground. And we may live in environments where we just don't see that happening with people. But as I said earlier, the promises of life, the availability of them, they are inclusive of you, period. There isn't something that says, no, you can't go in that direction, you can't have that, you can't do that. You're the only one who does that. Those opportunities are there. They just feel so very unfamiliar to you until you start to go get them. And when you start taking those steps and you begin to see that it almost feels like like the Bible tells us, there's a lamp under our feet. That's how it begins to feel to you the more steps you take, even though you may not be at the goal or even halfway or near it yet. That's how it's going to feel to you. But you've got to go get it, to get these promises, you've got to take those steps. You've got to get rid of that thing that's telling you you can't. And while you're getting rid of trash and thinking, you might have to, cut a few folks off that don't support you in the process, because there will be people who will tell you that exact same thing. You can't do that. Who do you think you are that you could get that kind of job or have that kind of education or get your degree or whatever? Be careful. And I can say, for my own experience, it's painful when people tell you that. They don't, because it makes you want, kind of makes you feel like they're trying to confirm some inadequacy in you, or force their unbelief on you. And you've got some hard decisions very often to make at that point. But I believe in the go get it. I believe in it. I believe in the go get them, because I've also taken steps, like I've told you, beyond just understanding the first couple of steps and watching the light come onto the path. That can happen. But be careful of those naysayers, the negative thinkers who jump in because they have their own hesitancies and fears about what they want to do and accomplish. But don't self-sabotage your dream. Don't self-sabotage your goals. You can do what you believe that you can do. And I know right now we're speaking to people who maybe are just pondering, but there are also many people who maybe last year just didn't shake out, and you just need to have that sense of being revved up and renewed and regenerated. We're talking to you too, because a lot of us understand that. I know I certainly do. I've had to rebuild more than once in my life, so I know what it takes. So for real, though. For real, as they say. So I don't talk. I'm not talking nonsense to you guys. I'm talking to you about what I know for sure, for positively. I get it. I get it, and it can be done. So, Cassandra, why don't you take it from here?
I just want to mention about what you said, that a lot of times that what people want in life, a home, a safe place to live in, whether it's owned or rented, no matter, a nice car to drive, a good job, and that we can sometimes or more easily kind of do those things. And I just want to add that oftentimes we almost back into those sorts of things as a way of living, as a benefit of living or process of living. But I want to say that those seem kind of normal and easy simply because we see those basic things being done all the time. We see those things being done, and then so to our consciousness, that's not that deep because we almost have a pattern for it. People talk about generations of poverty, but what they don't understand is that it is not a predestination. There is a huge difference. I think about, there is the saying that in Science of Mind when I study, it's that there is no big or small in the mind that maketh all. So in the mind of God, which is the mind we share, it's getting a good job or starting a multi-million-dollar business. It's buying or renting a great apartment or buying an island. There is no big or small. In the mind of God, the only big and small, the only parameters around that are those that we set. And oftentimes, the majority of us, I guess, I would wager to say, did not see people moving mountains or starting very successful businesses or living on islands. But if we did, those thoughts would not be so foreign to us. And so it's not about big or small. It's not about easy or hard. The question is, what do you want? What are the promises of life that I get daily is asking me, what do you want? What do you want to do today, Sam? What you want? What do you want? But we have to dare to dream the dream. We have to be bold enough to fling our desires out into the universe. And when we do that, we realize that the answer is always yes. So what does that answer look like? It looks exactly like what Silver said. You do the work. You don't just, I have never put it like that. I have never, nor do I know anybody who has just walked into a house and taken ownership legally. You gotta go through. You know what I'm saying? There are squatters, but we ain't talking about them.
you gotta do it right.
But there's steps that you gotta take. But there's steps that you take to get from where you are to anywhere you want to go. Let us dare to have a bigger dream, even than those of our families, of tradition. Let us dare to do the thing that we haven't seen anybody do yet. What do we have to lose?
Yeah.
What do we have to lose?
That's right.
Again, there is no great or small, no big or small in the mind that maketh all.
I love that. Well, listen, our next you gotta, if you want life's promises and want to go get them, you gotta see it. And again, these principles aren't new. You just got some really awesome people talking about it today. But you got to see it. Yeah, look, no shade in my game. I know we come from a real place of wisdom and understanding and love for people and what we do. So I mean that in the most sincere sense that, you know, we are some grown girls with some grown girl information that we love to empower others with. So anyway, you got to see it, and that'll produce motivation and drive in you. You got to see what you want. I posted Mary Mary's song last night, Go Get It, Go Get Your Blessings. And one of the first lines of that song says, it's like you're looking through a telescope and you can see what you're going to be. And I just love that line. And that's the whole premise behind you got to see it, you know, and you know, there's a difference between just fantasy. Not how fantasy is just daydreaming about it and, well, that's nice. And, you know, and you can go online and create a home and a little animated body and go live in it and feel good about it, but that's just not nearly as good as making the real thing happen. You got to see it. You got to focus. I heard somebody earlier today on TV said, I just am moving in so many different directions of what I want. And I'm thinking, well, that could be a problem. You know, where do you – but the implication when she said it was that I'm not getting anywhere. I've got all these directions I'm going in, but I'm not really accomplishing what I want or need out of life. And so that can be troublesome. I've been in that situation, too, because ideas are always coming to me, and I feel so motivated to move out on them, and I've done that several times. And it really there's a sense of accomplishment, but not a fulfillment of your purpose and dream. Let me put it that way. But if you really want to get to your exclusivity about your promises in life, the hopes and dreams and things you prayed for and all of that, you got to focus. You have to have a central focus on what it is that you're going for. And one of my all-time favorite sayings is, the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. And if you can think like that, isn't that great? The main thing is the main, keep the main thing the main thing. And if you can do that, with that focus, I had those words up on my wall for, for several years, because it's an important concept. You got to keep the main thing the main thing. That's the main thing. What do you think about seeing it?
So much. So much. So yes, we were talking again in the changing the stinking thinking and getting rid of things, and I was talking about looking past what we've seen people do and do a whole new thing. And so, and now Silver's saying you got to see it, and she's absolutely right. And she's talking about focus. And I think that our dreams and our desires should not, and they should not, be limited to things we have seen. So how do you see a whole new thing that no one's ever done before? How do you keep that, if that's what you want to do, if you have something, a calling from within inside of you to loom large and be more than you are or than you've seen, how do you do that? And I say close your eyes and shut out. Again, as Silver was talking about those people who bless their hearts, they mean to support you. They just don't know how. So you got to shut all them out because God didn't mean them. God didn't mean them. God meant you. When you have something burning in your heart, whether you can articulate it, identify it exactly or not, I always had, even as a kid, this yearning. I chuckle to myself when I look at what I turned into from the child that I was. But I didn't listen very well to people, especially people who told me no. I always had a problem with that. I always forged ahead because the universe always told me yes. And I have done amazing things in many cases because I didn't ask permission, because I did focus in my mind. I don't do a lot of the steps that a lot of people do, the networking and phone on a friend. I don't do any of that. I don't ask permission, and I focus it in my mind. I write it down. I design it in my mind the way I want it to be. And I promise you, this is 63 years talking, more things have happened from the pages of my journal than you would believe unless you knew me. So, yes, you have to see it. It's not about somebody else's vision. We're not qualified to hold somebody else's vision. And we're not qualified to put the kibosh on somebody else's vision either. But we're certainly not qualified to carry out somebody's vision. What is your own desire? That you got to see. That you got to hold on to. And I say also a very important step in manifestation is being thankful for it before it even happens. Recognizing that it's not the make or break of you, that you are already all right. And you got to see it and hold on to it. And Silver, keeping the main thing could be a whole topic of conversation because we could take so many of life's situations that pull us off track. You're in the office and your coworker looked at you sideways and you get all in your feelings and just you lose your whole day. You can't focus. You're so ticked off. But what's that got to do with anything really? People say, well, I know what she thought. No, you don't. You just know how you felt. But what is your main goal? Keep the main thing. If you are there to work for yourself, for your desires, for your future, for on your path, that's the main thing. And anything that does not belong on your road, you need to kick to the curb.
That's right. That's exactly right. Our next you gotta. And I like something you said about your journaling, Cassandra, so I'd like you to kind of take the handle on this one. It says you got to have a plan. And you talked about how you journaled what you saw. And when I looked at my notes and it said you got to have a plan, I reread it to myself and said you got to have a journal. Because that, many people use a journal as a type of plan, and so can you reflect on that, on how that helped guide you? Because a plan is one thing. It sounds like it's hard and fast, but it's not always. But can you reflect on how your journal helped guide you?
Yes, absolutely. So, and I'm going to try to keep it brief. I've always journaled. I was a busy kid with just a whole lot of the inside bubbling out always. And so I started initially writing poetry. It probably wasn't very good and didn't make a lot of sense, but I would write things down. And then as I grew older, I would write down about the relationships that didn't work and just the stuff, like a diary. Well, when I was, I guess, about 30, I sat and read all of my journals, all of them that I had, and I had most of them. And one of the things that I found in the reading is that the life that I talked about, wrote about, dreamed about, lamented over was the life that I was living. And something struck me so profoundly. It's like, what did I, like what came first? The feeling that this is what was going to happen, or the writing that it was going to happen. And then it occurred to me quickly, it doesn't really matter, but there's power in writing things down. And just like in praying, a lot of times, or I put it like this, I was taught differently that you pray to God, but now I understand that prayer doesn't move God. Prayer moves us to a position, to a point of connection, of unity with Spirit, and in most cases, a sense of worthiness for what it is we want or what we're praying for. So from the day that I read the journals and realized that, wait a minute, so many of the things that I wrote about wanting and to experience was the life that I was living. From that day to this, I now write things down the way I want them to be. So say I have a bad day at work, I might say, this was not great or so-and-so and so-and-so, but I'm not going to spend my time journaling fussing about something. I quickly then redesign it. I design it, I should say, or redirect my thinking. And I talk about the way that it's going to be. And then I always end up with saying, thank you for the way it's going to be. Now, that's an example. Let me give you a specific. I have written myself into 2 very successful network TV shows. I do not have a degree in journalism. I literally wrote it in my book, and the networks came calling.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
what I like about... Pardon?
I hear a lot of static or feedback. Is all of that on my end?
I don't hear it, so I don't know.
Oh, perfect. All right. Yeah, then we can go on. All right, go on.
Okay. What I like about what you said and want people to see, while I said plan, you said design, which are parallel. Whatever, whoever's listening, whatever you want to call it, a design, a plan, a direction, do that on paper. Make sure you have a sort of a map. That's another word we can use. I'm trying to throw out as many words as I can so that they hit whoever, conceptually, whatever it may mean for you. It just means that you have to have something that's guiding you toward it. Cassandra's story is lovely. It's extraordinary, but it is an absolute truth to what can happen when you are planning, designing, mapping, writing it down. It can seem so odd, and I don't even want to make it sound simple, but it's reflecting back on seeing it. It's guiding you toward seeing it. It's also ministering to and strengthening and empowering your belief in what's going to happen. That's what it's doing. And so you have to see that as a part of the process of getting to the promise. The next thing I want to say that you got to have is some sense of timing. And I wrote down now, later, today, someday. Some days line is that's a long line. Let's just drop that off of the considerations. Is now the right time? We have to consider timing in what we're doing. And that might mean, you have small children and you're trying to do a particular thing with your life and goals, and maybe you wanted to go to law school or whatever, but keep journaling about it. But the timing of itself and unfolding may or may not be now. It will depend on support systems and money and, all kinds of things that need to be considered. One of the things when I say sense of timing, you want to hesitate to just jump into something without enough of considering variables, because that can impact it. And it also can be a setback if you're not approaching it in the right timing. It can create a setback as well. So timing is important. Now, later today, you have to look at what all of those variables are, because they will either support the design, the map, the direction, the plan, or it could stifle it, or it could cancel it, because you may have created a situation where you cancel out your own pursuit. So consider the variables that are involved in the timing. Now, as you've listened to Cassandra and I know you have to have understood that what we're talking about today, that's the reason this show is called Master Your Mindset, because life requires, for success and for getting the most out of it and the promises, it requires some thinking. It requires a great deal of mental strategizing. Things don't always just happen. Sometimes they do, but they don't always just happen. And you can ask that of some of the most successful people. It doesn't just happen. We just get to see how wonderful it is when we look at their achievements, but it doesn't just happen. So that being said, again, just consider the timing. What I do want to emphasize, though, is if it's later, don't talk yourself out of it. Do not do that, because that's not, waiting till later doesn't mean that it can't happen. It just means there's a better time later than now for me to get to this, to be able to fulfill it for myself and my life, my family, my future. So don't talk yourself out of it, because you may have to look at it later. Enjoy your now. Enjoy the progression of your, getting to the point where you can start to focus on whatever it is. Would you like to add to that, Cassandra?
I would, Silver. A couple of things came to mind when you were talking, and you talk about consider timing, and I don't know if you're talking about. Considering timing is critical. Period. I don't know if you're talking about when you start something or the time that it takes to do something, but the whole process of gardening kind of came to mind to me. And you think about gardening, let's say with that journal or with that writing things down, let us think about gardening. You've got a very small seed, typically, or a seed much, much smaller than the actual plant that manifests out of the seed that you put into the ground, right? So you've got your idea that you write down into your book. And we all know that it takes a natural amount of time and sequential things have to happen for that seed to break its shell and to begin to grow. We understand that when it comes to gardening, but our dreams and desires are the same way. And so you plant the seed, you write your desire down somewhere, hopefully in a journal. You go back, it needs to be fertilized. It needs to be attended. It needs to be weeded. It needs to be watered. It needs to be protected, that nothing or no one digs it up. And then you trust it. We don't doubt typically, and I don't garden, I'm just using that scenario because I love it. But we don't doubt that when we plant something that a plant after the nature of the seed is going to grow. And we don't necessarily watch the clock. It happens when it happens, but we trust that it's going to grow. Our dreams are no different. Our dreams are no different. When we plant seeds of desire, seeds of desire with faith, there is a natural unfoldment that happens in the world around us. And I could no longer, or no much, excuse me, I could no more have predicted how my dreams or desires were going to unfold. I could not have orchestrated. I didn't know who to call. I didn't know which people were going to call me. I didn't know who were going to see what I had done and make sense that it could do, that I could do what they wanted me to do. I didn't know any of that. I just had to dare to dream the dream and to, as Silver said, be able to see it, to clear my mind and understand that just because I didn't get a phone call the next day didn't mean that it wasn't going to happen. That it does take time. It is a timing thing. And in terms of when to start something, I say whenever you have a dream or desire is a time to honor it by writing it down. And that to me is as legitimate a start as anything, because that means you're planting it in your consciousness and accepting the idea it's going to grow in its own time.
Mhm. Mhm. Our last you gotta pursue it, because remember I said we had 5 you gottas, and anything else we want to say, Cassandra, but down we had 5 you gottas.
Okay.
The last one, and simply put, is that you got to pursue it. Now, that sounds real simple, too. But if you remember, if you were listening from the beginning of the show, I said, there's this other aspect of life, too, where, stuff happens and, there could be some curveballs, there could be some upsets, there could be some TKOs, there could be various things along the map, the design, along the pursuit, along the plan that can make you think again. It creates self-sabotage, because if things go wrong, as they do sometimes, we go into ourselves about it, even though it may be something catastrophic that occurred with a pandemic or weather or whatever. We can find ourselves thinking that pursuing any, promises for future getting better and all of that, it can feel really hard. So you gotta know that life has its adventures when you're going after your promises, but it also has its adversities. But adversities do not have to rule. They do not have to end your pursuit. I think of all of the times a lot of us have watched some of the catastrophic weather things that have happened, and of course this pandemic, not almost daily, but several times a week, I see on news stories of people making their comeback from the pandemic who lost businesses or started a new one totally different than what they lost. So life's promises, as I said earlier, you're given chance after chance after chance after chance. Cassandra mentioned this earlier, sometimes we'll condition ourselves to believe something different because that's what we were told. If something failed, it was just a failure, period. And that has created so much disappointment, depression, unhappiness in the lives of people to believe that. The consciousness truly is that it's wide open. Opportunities are wide open. You just got to pursue. You just got to get up and get going and go get it. It's there. I'm amazed when I see these stories because I see what the pandemic did. It literally turned the world upside down, made lots of people emotionally, mentally, just in places I knew they never thought they would find themselves challenged. It was nuts. But people are getting their bearings. I guess this is some kind of new normal, if you want to call it that. It's every day is new. I don't know if anything's ever what I would think of as normal, but you gotta realize that there is life happening. There's cause and effect. There's issues and problems and other stuff. However, don't take that so much into your inner being that you smash down all of the belief and confidence and energies that can propel you toward getting more, getting another chance, or getting more, or seeing new opportunities, to seeing potential possibilities. That's what I'm seeing as I watch these stories, and not just from the pandemic, but I love watching these stories of people who are overcomers or who have beaten the odds and all of that. It's one of the reasons I really felt so compelled to use this as a topic, and especially at the top of the year, because so many of us start to do a lot of analyzing about not just 2022, but life in general and life moving forward. You know, there just really is no such thing as a lack of opportunity. If you make up your mind that you're going to grab hold of another chance to do something. So you gotta pursue it with that consciousness, with that thought in mind, and with that kind of energy. That's what has to happen. Cassandra?
Yeah, several things, of course, came to mind. And one of the things is you talked about kind of adversities don't have to rule, but also they don't have to ruin our dreams and desires. As I was listening to you speak, it occurred to me that a lot of times we do or we don't do based on what we believe. And I always ask people to consider what if God and the entire universe conspires for your good, not your demise? What if you really cannot fail? What if nothing that appears to be a challenge was meant to put you under or pull you out of the game? What if all of these things were just an opportunity to strengthen us, to toughen us up, to build muscles around a situation that we were going to need later? And so when, again, we talk about the first gotta is, be willing to get rid of the thoughts that don't assist you or motivate you. I say, I've got a friend that always that calls them your core beliefs. And I say to take a look at, again, what do you really think or believe about the world that we live in? I know for a fact that anything and everything is possible. I know this. I have experienced this. And I also know that not just possible for me, possible for you. Possible if you believe. And so when you say pursue it, Silver, I'm reminded of that thing, that when things happen, and things happen all the time, if we deem it, judge it, or define it bad, then we're feeling some kind of way around that. What if it just is what it is? There were many, in addition to the stories that Silver talked about overcoming, there were many wonderful things that happened as a result of the pandemic. We found new ways of doing old things and realized that some old things we needed to leave alone. I mean, the air was cleaner, for God's sake. The birds came back and stuff. There were a lot of beautiful things that happened. What if it just is what it is? And then, Silver, I was reminded back of our radio days, and we were talking about probably a conversation not much different than this, and you were talking about going somewhere on a train and a cow was on the track. And the train came. You know where I'm going with this, right? And the train came to a stop because the cow was on the track. And do you want to take? You want to tell that?
No, you go ahead. No, you go ahead.
And one of the things is, again, based on a lot of beliefs. First of all, the cow's on the track, and the train and the conductor's not going to run over it, so the train's come to a stop. Well, now we're dealing with a potential problem with a lot of different mindsets. I mean, in some cultures, the cow is sacred. So what does it mean? The cow is on the track and so on and so forth. And I said, we were talking about all this, and I said, we need to get a chainsaw and cut up that cow. I got someplace to go. So you think through the problem. If I believe that it's an omen, that it's sacred, if I believe in any of those things, which mean I stay stuck, I stay stuck. I'm thinking, ooh, beef steaks or whatever. I mean, I don't really eat a lot of meat, but still, cut up the cow. We got someplace to go, and so it's that kind of mindset. When I am often working on something, and I all of a sudden don't know where, or things are not working out, I don't necessarily think that it's the ruination of the project, or that, oh my God, I'm cursed, or it's not going to work. I just think, not today. I literally check out of that, take a break. I'll pour myself a cocktail and play video games. I don't care. But I know that if I'm going someplace, the only way that I'm going to get there is staying on the track. If that means I have to remove a cow or the train stops for a while, whatever. As Silver talked about timing, another thing that I was thinking is that we have to stop watching the watch, stop watching the clock. Things really do have a time of their own unfoldment, which I do not know what that time is for my desires. I don't know if you do, but I do not know. I have not known. But to the degree that I am clocking it, I am miserable. It also speaks to the fact that I don't have faith in what I am faithing, if you will, visioning. You dare to dream the dream, write it down, you nurture it, you weed it, you water it, you fertilize it. You bless it, you be thankful for it, and you be ready to receive it when it happens. It will happen.
Absolutely. Well, I love that, and I think that is just a wonderful place for us to wrap it up. I mean, that I think you said exactly what needed to be said to put a nice bow on this, Cassandra. Thank you so much for everything that you have shared today. So I just want to run down the list again just in case there is another interjection. But the first thing you got to do is get rid of that trash in your head, thinking stuff that causes self-sabotage, unbelief, telling yourself you're not worthy, the self-doubt. Oh, God, get rid of it. Get rid of it. Those are just it's an opportunity for you to get rid of it. That's the way I'll say that. It's an opportunity to take that trash and put it in the bin and not look back at it, and keep that as a practice every single day. If you got to do it more than once, keep doing it until you just know you don't have to do it anymore. And then you got to see it. Keep yourself focused. The main thing is keep the main thing. You got to have a plan, to design, a map, a journal, something to guide you that will continually keep you working toward what you know it is that you want out of life. Life holds so many wonderful promises, and that's one of the ways that you go get it. You got to have some sense of timing, and we just both reflected on that. Plays a critical thing for each person, each situation, each goal. You will have to look at those, the variables and all of that, and weigh them and look at them and see how you need to orchestrate what it is you're going after. And then you got to pursue it. You got to go get it, and you got to know that you have everything within you to do it. And I'm glad Cassandra brought up the story about the cow, because sometimes that's what it'll feel like there's some big thing in your way, and you're like, okay, but I got to kill this cow. Oh, well, yeah. Sometimes I'm going to let whoever's listening use your own concept of what that cow might be in your way, But the point is, you'll have to get it removed. So, like Cassandra said, to stay on the track. So you must, you gotta do that. So, thank you so much, Cassandra, for being with me today. It's just wonderful, as I said, that we started on this day 10 years ago, as you master your mindset, and it's just a wonderful way for me to put a bow on the entire project, actually. So thank you, my dear friend. I appreciate you so much for
it has been a
taking
pleasure.
the time. Thank you. Well, you go and enjoy your New Year's evening, whatever it is you have planned, and I'll look forward to talking to you again on our next time.
It won't be long.
Okay, sounds good to me. And I want to thank all of you, too, for taking the time out, particularly on an occasion like New Year's Day, to check out what it means to go after life's promises. I do wholly want you to remember that opportunities are there, potential is there, possibility is there for you. So go get it. Whatever you're hoping for, dreaming for, praying about for 2023, it can be yours. As I said, this is my wrap for my tenure and time with Foxology. I have loved every moment, loved every guest, loved all of the things that I have been able to share. It has been a tremendous, tremendous journey for me, and I want to thank anybody who took the time to check out to see what was going on here. And please know it was always meant for you. I do things, that's how I do stuff. I just care a lot about people, and I particularly care about us getting empowered and educated in certain areas of life, because I know getting through days and issues and problems, and there's so many things, it's just not always easy. And I hope and pray that I have been able to contribute to your strengths and things that may have been needed to help you feel loved and supported on the shows that I have done. So I do truly, genuinely want you to have a great year. I want the rest of your life to be the best of your life. Keep watching for what my next is. I'm on social media, on all the major platforms, Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter. So I will make it known. So stay in touch with me that way. Also, remember that I've got a couple of books on Amazon, so go get them too, okay? What is faith? And stay in the ring. So until we gather together again, which I will definitely be looking forward to, you all be good, be blessed, be awesome. Happy New Year to you.